Well, Stellar Blade isn't the only thing that Sony is censoring as of late. Welcome back to Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idol, and it looks like Tsukihime, a piece of Blue Moon, is now getting censored, but not the game. Now, Sony's going so far as to censor art books. We're gonna get into this article before we do. Hit that subscribe button. I'm a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news every day, and yeah, with Gamergate 2 still going on, it being about the biggest story in gaming of, I don't know, since the last Gamergate 10 years ago, it still warrants all the coverage. So we're gonna get into this article. Sony is censoring the art book for Tsukihime, a piece of blue glass moon. And I'll be real, I'm not particularly familiar with this game because, as you guys know, like an adult, I play on PC. Although, to be fair, this game is coming to Switch, and as a big lover of the Switch, who knows, maybe I'll pick it up just to support this game because the Switch version is not being censored, or the Switch art book, I should say, because if we're to believe what they have to say, the game itself is not being censored. But that's what they said about Stellar Blade as well, and look what happened. This is coming from Niche Gamer. The art book for Tsukihime, a piece of blue glass moon, will be censored in the limited physical release of the game. According to the official English Twitter account for the game, the art book will be censored due to differing platform publishing policies, with the content censored in order to be available on PlayStation. So, yeah, who could be the different platform publisher? You only got two options. You got Nintendo, you got Sony. And Nintendo's already announced that their version's going to be uncensored. So I know a few days ago we were talking about whether or not Shift Up really had a say in whether the game was censored. Did they bend the knee? A lot of people were throwing a fit. There's been the petition to free Stellar Blade, a petition that has been gaining massive numbers, by the way, which I'm glad to see. Who knows? Maybe we will actually get our way, and a patch will come out that gives us an uncensored version of the game, as God intended. Although, considering it looks like Sony's the one behind all of that, I somehow highly doubt it. But here's what the actual tweet says. Notice regarding the English release of Tsukihime, a piece of blue glass moon. Due to differing platform publishing policies, the art book included in the physical limited edition for PlayStation 4 will be printed with graphic modifications to 2 pages, while the art book included in the physical limited edition for Nintendo Switch will be printed without modifications. Now, it kind of blows my mind. They're going to such the lengths to censor an art book. No, it's not enough that they need to censor video games because think of the children. No, now they're actually censoring the book that you paid your hard-earned money because you wanted that special limited edition. You want the special limited edition that came with all the goodies. Looking behind me, I got the Persona 5 Royal art book. It came with a Persona 5 Royal release. If that book had been censored, do you realize how pissed I would be? That was like a $150 special edition or whatever it was. I want it intact. I want what the original Japanese creators had to show us, the original concept art without any censorship. And while I get it, this game, it's not near the level of some of the popularity like Stellar Blade, like Persona. In fact, I don't really see a whole lot of individuals talking about this unless you're in the nature of caring about censorship, unless you're talking about Gamergate 2, or unless you're a big fan of Japanese media. But the fact of the matter is, Sony doesn't care, and the reason Sony doesn't care is because they know that they have a winning strategy. Their winning strategy is, look at me, I'm in charge, and you gamers will either buy it or you will move along. And that winning strategy so far hasn't actually hurt them too much in the long run. I mean, don't get me wrong, console gaming is absolutely on the downturn. Sony is hurting as a whole. But can we prove they're hurting because of censorship? Stellar Blade sold out the ass. And don't get me, and of course, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, yeah, that game isn't selling so hot even in its home country of Japan, but can we really blame censorship? We just saw that Square Enix took over a $140 million loss due to their abysmal business practices. So, I hate to say it, but I kind of believe that Sony doesn't think censorship will cost them in the long run. If anything, they think that they're doing the right thing. Of course, they've got these virtuous morals where they know better than you. They, the multi-million-dollar industry in the gaming space, they know what's best for gamers. This article goes on to say, despite the adjustments to the PlayStation 4 art book, the game will remain unaltered for both PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch. Now, will the game remain unaltered? That's the real question, because if they're going so far as to censor a book, which, by the way, how much you want to bet the censorship is going to be some sort of scantily clad anime women because, some sort of lolicon or whatever it is, they're going to come up with some sort of reason that I'm sure has to do with censoring the female form, just like they did with Stellar Blade, just like they did with the flashbacks of Tifa in the Square Enix, Final Fantasy remake. It only ever has to do with sexually attractive women in gaming. Of course, that's what many gamers do come to see. Sex sells, sex is sold since the inception of humankind, basically. And yeah, while it doesn't explicitly say that's what's being altered in the art book, I mean, come on. If you were a betting boy, would you take that bet? We apologize for the inconvenience and thank you for your support of Tsukihime, a piece of bluegrass moon. Oh, it's by Aniplex. I didn't know that. Aniplex is the studio that did Full Metal Alchemist. Who knows? Maybe this will be a really cool game. It's worth mentioning and emphasizing that the Nintendo Switch version of the game will include an uncensored art book. take a moment and appreciate that, because if you grew up in the 90s and you thought about Nintendo, Mario, Zelda, Metroid, Kirby, they were the kid-friendly console. They were the one that, it didn't matter your age, your demographic. They were for everybody. They had the most kid-friendly, nitty-gritty, easy-to-get-through games. Maybe not easy to get through. In fact, a lot of them were very difficult. But, there was nothing that was egregious or pornographic or gore-filled coming out of them. Even up through, the GameCube. They had some new IPs like Geist, and even that was only rated T for teen. It wasn't really until, I guess they had their Resident Evil Capcom event, which was all those games were rated M, and then the Wii rolled around. You had Manhunt, you had more Resident Evil games. They obscured the aftermath. Nintendo has kind of dipped their toes into going hardcore, but they've never really escaped the shadow of being looked at as the kid-friendly or the child-friendly company. And now they're the ones releasing the uncensored art book, and we're seeing a lot of this on the Switch. If you go look at the Nintendo Switch library on their online shop, there's actually a lot of NSFW games, stuff that you certainly do not want your kids playing, and from what I've heard, because your boy doesn't get down on those sorts of games, they're all uncensored. I can't believe we're living in a time when Sony, the people in the 90s that were famous for upping the ante and giving you what Nintendo really couldn't, actually giving you games with gore, with violence, with swearing, they have now fallen so far. They're on this censorship train going just chugga down the tracks to the point where Nintendo is looking like the cool parent. Again, 90s gamers, did you ever see this coming? While it's true that the actual game will allegedly be uncensored on PlayStation, I like how they bold allegedly here, because once again, one day before the release of Stellar Blade, they told us the game will release uncensored in all regions, and lo and behold, day one patch for you suckers that really wanted to see Eve's jiggle physics. Sony has compelled other developers to push through censorship at the last minute. We all know what they're talking about there. Though it seems Sony's content policies extend beyond the scope of the game itself now, and even special edition goodies have to play nice in the company's draconian policies. Just imagine there's a special edition for a video game, and it comes with stickers and pins and a soundtrack, and you get the soundtrack and it has the swearing edited out. Hey, we can't let the gamers hear the word shit, despite the fact that they say far worse on X every day. If they're willing to censor art, if they're willing to censor games on day one, why would they not censor soundtracks or the stickers had a busty woman on them? Why not, cover them up? Or, again, at this point, what won't Sony censor? I'm never going back to being a console gamer aside from Nintendo, because, Nintendo fan for life. But if I were to ever be, so weak as to purchase a console again, now I can't believe I'm saying this, your boy might be going that Xbox route. I mean, let's be real, Starfield wasn't exactly the greatest game out there, but I don't think it was censored to hell and back, and if that's what you have to do, if that's what you have to do to vote with your wallet and show Sony, which is masquerading as a Japanese company at this point, because Sony is based out of, it's either Seattle, Washington, or somewhere in that general area, or somewhere in New York close to NYC. Either way, you know that Sony is only masquerading as a Japanese company. They're a full-on American company at this point, and they've been infested with the liberal, left-leaning ideologies that come with being in these big leftist cities, and that's why we are seeing this sort of censorship. That might be common knowledge to a lot of folks, but this could be some people's first foray into learning about the culture war, and if you're getting into it, this is new to you, just know, Sony, yeah, Japanese in name only. Tsukihime, A Piece of Blue Glass Moon, is a remake of the original 2000 release eroge visual novel. Oh, it's a visual novel. Okay, I might take back the whole maybe this will be a good game then, because visual novels gameplay is, click. I'm not a big fan of visual novels, although Steins Gate was really good. It was released in 2021 and managed to sell over 300,000 copies by 2023. The English release is expected to launch on June 27th, 2024. Now, this is something I hadn't even thought about until reading this article. The English release. You want to know what's not just going to happen? They talk about how the game itself is going to release uncensored. Well, I highly doubt that, because this is a Japanese game. What always comes along with Japanese games? 3, 2, 1, localization! That's right, you got it. And we've seen bastardized after bastardized localization, whether it be from Fire Emblem or any other Japanese JRPG that has come out in the West. And in fact, Eiyuden Chronicles recently had one of the most atrocious localizations of any Japanese game we've seen in a long while, to the point where fans, they pushed back. There was such backlash, they are actually patching out the localization. Now, I don't see that being a common practice, or probably not something that we should actually get used to, bad localizations being patched. But when they say this game is going to release uncensored, just know that the localization, I guarantee you, is either going to have some censorship, or if not censorship, it's going to have a whole lot of alterations for the modern audience, for what they think that the Western gamer wants. Alterations that true JRPG fans have been fighting against since the 90s, when bad localizations were the norm. Now, granted, we did not have the resources to fight it back then, because the internet was not as widespread as it is now, But look at the culture war over the last several years, and you will find a lot of individuals throwing a fit about localizations. I'm not going to get into a tangent about localization. This is supposed to be about the art book and the censorship from Sony, but they all do sort of go hand in hand. At least those are my opinions. Let me know yours in the comments down below, or let me know on X, where you can find me at Bolt the Word. And please do subscribe. I am a nerdy news channel. I bring you nerdy news every day. Not always about video game culture war stuff, even though that is the big news right now, but anime, movies, music, Magic the Gathering, you name it. Check me out on Instagram at wordsparadise_Leon and become a member for $4.99 a month. You can join the Discord, choose the videos I go over on a day-to-day basis, get videos for me to react to in my live streams, and of course, have discourse with all the other vital idols. We are over 70 members strong, and the only thing we care about is diversity of thought, because diversity of thought is the only diversity that truly matters. Join the Discord, $4.99, and remember, it's all here in the Nerdosphere. This has been Words of Paradise.